Good morning, grade 8 boys and girls, and to any new Yellow Group children that will be watching this lesson as well. I hope you're really enjoying our Letterland lessons. Now, the first thing we do when we start our Letterland lessons is we sing our Letterland song to warm up our voices. So let's go do that together.
Letterland, Letterland, there could be no better land for meeting a duck, a man with a hat, an orange or two, and a clever old cat. So let's go to Letterland, Letterland, Letterland. Walter Walrus Wetterland needs slithering Sam, a king who can kick, a quarrelsome queen, or make noisy Nick. So let's go to Letterland. Let's go to Letterland today.
So today we will be learning about Sammy Snake. Let's take a look at him together. Now, Sammy is a sweet little smiling snake, not a scary snake at all. Can you see the smile on his face? Look closely. Good job. Sammy Snake smiles and is happy as long as you stroke him properly. When we stroke Sammy Snake, we always start at his head, which is over here, and we smooth down his scales until we get to his tail. So we start at his head and we smooth down his scales until we get to his tail. We never ever stroke Sammy Snake from his tail to his head, as this would ruffle his scales and hurt him and leave him feeling rather sad. So remember, when we practice writing Sammy Snake just now, we always start by stroking his head. Well done. Well done. Now that our voices are all warmed up, we can learn all about the sound that Sammy Snake makes. Sammy Snake spends most of his time hissing away in words like this. He makes the sound He makes his hissing sound as he slips, slithers, and slides in the reading direction. If you listen carefully, you will hear his sound in lots and lots of words. Now we know the sound he makes is s, but we are going to sing a song together to practice that sound just a little bit more.
Sammy Snake says in words, hissing all the time. Sammy Snake says in words, hissing all the time. Hissing with a s, hissing with a s. Sammy Snake says in words, he's hissing all the time. Sammy Snake says in words, hissing all the time. Sammy Snake says in words, hissing all the time. Hissing with a s, hissing with a s. Sammy Snake says in words, he's hissing all the time.
Well done, boys and girls. Now, for those of you that remember our lesson on Golden Girl, I told you that Golden Girl has a best friend called Golden Granny, and that in some words they appear next to each other, but that when two of the same letter sit next to each other, they share the same sound. That's correct, they share the same sound. So when we see Sammy Snake with another S letter next to him, we are going to remember that the second S in a word is Sammy Snake's sister, his sister, and her name is Sally Snake. So, let's look at the paper next to me and look at the following 3 words. The first word, miss, miss. It has 2 s letters in it and they share the same s sound. And then if we look at the second word, it is hiss. Sammy Snake likes to hiss, and it also has a s and a s in it. Sammy Snake and Sally Snake sharing the same sound. And the third and last word we're going to look at is the word kiss. K-I-S. Can you also see how it has a s and a s next to each other? Now we know that when we see 2 of the same letter, they share the same s sound. Do you remember what Sammy Snake's sister's name is? Well done. Yes, it is Sally Snake. Excellent. Now, let's take another look at Sammy Snake. Here is the lowercase or the small s. Now, let me see who was listening when I taught you all about Clever Cat. When Clever Cat wants to go bigger, to be able to turn herself into a capital letter that starts important words or the beginning of a sentence, do you remember what she does? Very good. For any of you that said she takes a deep breath in and grows bigger. Now Sammy Snake does the exact same thing. When he wants to change from a small letter into a capital letter that starts names or words at the beginning of a sentence, he takes a deep breath in and changes into his capital letter. Can you see how he is much bigger than our small lowercase Sammy Snake? He takes a deep breath in and he has grown into the capital letter. And now he says, I am a super-sized snake, a super-sized snake. And he uses this letter to start names and important words. One example of a name would be Sarah, just like Sarah in my class, or Sydney, Sydney, also in my class. Do you know anybody whose name starts with a S? I hope you do. Next, we are going to look at how to write Sammy Snake, his lowercase and his uppercase letter. Let's do that together. Alright, for the next part of the lesson, it's important to remember that when we write Sammy Snake's S letter to start at his head, we never want to start at his tail, just like I told you, because then we would rub him up the wrong way and hurt him and leave him feeling sad. So let's look at Sammy Case's uppercase S and practice writing it together. On the side of the screen, there will also be the S letters for you to be practicing with me. So if we look at Sammy Snake's uppercase S, remember he is a super-sized snake when we write his capital letter. So we write him bigger than we would write the small lowercase. Let's practice writing his capital letter starting at his head and smoothing down his scales all the way to his tail. So we start at his head and we smooth down his scales all the way to his tail. Well done. And let's look at his lowercase letter. Again, we want to keep him smiling, so we are going to start at his head and we are going to smooth down his scales all the way to his tail. I hope you have been practicing. Now we're going to watch a song to learn the correct way as we practice to write his letter.
at Sam's head where he can see, stroke down to his tail, oh so carefully. Start at Sam's head where he can see, stroke down to his tail, oh so carefully.
Another very important thing to learn about Sammy Snake is that sometimes in a word, his hisses don't always sound like s, but sometimes sound like z. And let me explain to you why this is. Everybody likes Sammy Snake because he works really, really hard. Lots of words need his sound in it, so he is dashing around all day and all night putting his sound into words. Then he doesn't have much time to sleep at night. So instead what he does is he takes short snoozes during the day in certain words. And we need to listen and look carefully for words that have his snoozing z sound instead of his hissing s sound. If you listen carefully to the following words, we can tell that he is having a snooze in these words because instead of having his hissing s, they have a harder z sound because he is snoozing. So if I were to say the following words, I want to see if you can hear that he is snoozing. Like the word boys, boys, girls, girls, ears, ears, hands, hands, eyes, eyes, and nose, nose. He is snoozing in these words. So when we see words, we need to look out carefully for whether it is Sammy Snake hissing his s sound or taking a much needed snooze, even though it has a s, giving it a z sound. Alright, now Sammy Snake has a very special job. I'm going to explain it to you like this. When Sammy Snake puts his s letter at the end of a word, he is changing the word from one to more than one, or from one to several. Right, and an example of that would be if I say to you, I am going to give you a sweet. I'm going to give you a sweet. How many does that mean you will get? It means you will get one sweet. So let me show you your one sweet. And on the screen we have the word sweet, sweet, one sweet. Now if I put a s at the end of the word, it changes the word from one to more than one. So if we look at the new word with this added on the end, it says sweets, sweets. That means I get to give you more than the one sweet. I get to give you a lot of sweets. So let's see if I give you sweets, how many more you could get. Now you have several sweets. Sammy Snake added his sound to the end of the word and made it more than one. Another example would be if I said, I have a cat. I have a cat. That means I have one cat. But if I put a s at the end of the word cat, it becomes cats. And it means I have more than one. So I could have 3 cats, more than one. 3 cats. Putting a s at the end means Sammy Snake is changing the word from one to several somethings, more than one. Well done, boys and girls. For any of the yellow group children that were watching the lesson, I hope you enjoyed learning how to write S for Sammy Snake. And for any of the grade R's, I hope that you continue to practice. Now, during every lesson, we look at a poster, and on the poster there are pictures that begin with the sound that we are learning about. So, for this Letterland lesson, I have lots of pictures that start with Sammy Snake sound. Let's look at them and practice them together. On our first poster, we have a few pictures starting with S. I can see two spiders. S, spider, S, spider. Very good. Then a very beautiful flower called a sunflower. Sunflower, sunflower. Then our next picture right on the side here is a big spade, spade that you would use in the garden. And the last thing we have on our poster that begins with this is this word right at the top, and it says school, school. I know that your teachers miss being at school and miss you all. We can't wait to teach you back at school again. Let's look at our next poster. Our next poster has a seahorse, seahorse, right in the top corner. Next to it we have a beautiful sun, sun. A spray can or deodorant tin, spray. We have a snake. Ooh, that's interesting, just like Sammy. We also have some healthy salad, healthy salad, and lots of sun cream, sun cream. On this poster we have some delicious looking steak, steak, steak. Which of you boys and girls love to eat steak? I know I love eating steak, and hopefully I'm going to have some for dinner. Next to it we have some sweets, sweets. Those look tasty. Down here we have some strawberries, strawberries, and right at the bottom we have two sleeping babies, sleeping babies. We're going to look at our last poster, and then we're going to go on to read a story about Sammy Snake. Alright, in our last poster we have a starfish, starfish, right in the corner over there. We have a big capital S. We have a seal, seal, some warm socks, socks, a star, star, which is my favorite shape, a skateboard, skateboard, and a shoe or a slop, slop, or sandal. Very good. Next we are going to read Sammy Snake's story. Today's story is all about Sammy Snake, and it is called Sammy Snake Isn't Satisfied. Sammy Snake Isn't Satisfied. Let's take a look at the cover. Now let's see what the story is all about. This is Sammy Snake. And he loves the seaside. Sometimes he swims in the sea, but most of all he likes to sunbathe on the sand. He always takes care of his skin in the sun and slaps on lots of sun cream. Sometimes Sammy wears a hat and sunglasses too. Sammy Snake hisses his sound like this. Can you hear him hissing at the start of words like sun, sea, sand, sometimes, sun cream, and sun hat? I'm not satisfied, hissed Sammy to himself. I'm not satisfied with being the same as everyone else. I'd like a special skill. I'd like to be a superhero, the strongest snake ever. Oh, and I'd have superpowers. A super sense of smell. I'd sniff out danger like smoke, and I would save the day. Sammy smiled and then he scowled. Stop! No, no, he hissed. If I was a superhero, I couldn't be a superstar. I'd like to be a superstar. I'd sing on the stage. The sound of my singing voice would be splendid, he said. Can you see him singing on the stage? Stop! No, no, he hissed. I'm still not satisfied with that. On second thought, he said, I suspect I could be a sports star, a soccer star, a skydiver, a sailor, a skier sliding down the slopes, a swimmer speeding through the sea. No, no, stop! I'm still not satisfied, he said. Secretly, I've always thought I'd be a splendid space scientist. I'd soar between the stars and satellites in my spacecraft, and I would explore the solar system. Sammy Snake sucked on some strawberries and sighed. Suddenly, he felt rather sleepy and sat down, thinking, what I'd like best of all right now is a snooze in the sun. Sand was soft and warm. He could hear the sound of the sea and smell the scent of the seaside. Sammy smiled. In fact, Sammy smiled so much that he started to hiss and laugh. He hissed and snorted and slapped his sides with his tail. The sound of Sammy hissing was so loud that some of his friends came to see what the fuss was about. Talking Tess gave him a tap. Peter Puppy gave him a pat. "Are you all right?" asked Annie Apple. Sammy opened one eye sleepily. "I've realized that my life is super just as it is. I have somewhere safe and soft to sleep. The sun is shining. I have splendid things to eat. I have super friends like you. Simple and oh so satisfying, he said, smiling. Then he closed his eye and he went back to sleep. This time he didn't hiss. He snored softly instead, as he often does at the ends of words and stories. Alright, we've reached the end of our Letterland lesson for today, but I really hope you've enjoyed learning all about Sammy Snake. Usually at the end of the lesson, I give you a task or things you can do. And for today's lesson, I would like to ask you to not only practice writing Sammy Snake on paper so I can see, but I would like to ask all the yellow group boys and girls and all the grade R boys and girls if they could draw me a beautiful picture of Sammy Snake by the seaside, just like we read in our story. And another thing I would like to ask you to do is be really helpful today and see in what way you can help your mom and dad cook supper. Even if it's just something small, like putting something in a pot or taking something out and helping them, I would like to see you being really helpful making supper with your mom and dad. And the last fun thing you could do is you could skip outside, or play a game of Simon Says. I can't wait to see your lovely pictures. Bye.